And let's turn now to tensions in the West Bank, where Israeli settlers have for a week been besieging Palestinian homes in the village of Qusra. One Palestinian-American man saw settlers surrounding his home on a security camera feed and traveled thousands of kilometers from Ohio in the United States to protect his property. Upon returning, Louis Reedy found his home still surrounded by Israeli settlers. He and his family are staying put despite settlers cutting off power and running water to his home. They are demanding that Israeli forces remove the settlers who are still besieging their property. Tanya Kramer joins us now with more. So, you were in the area actually today, Tanya. What did you witness? How are the families at the center of the standoff now coping with the situation?
Well, I mean, what they told us is basically they feel like prisoners in their own homes. They can't really move freely. And as you said, this siege on their home has started like over 11 days ago now. And, they are feeling constantly under this threat by Israeli settlers, and that of course is also replicated in other parts of the occupied West Bank. Now, we were already there last week. At that time we were not allowed to go into what the Israeli military then had declared a closed military zone, and while we were there standing some 100 meters, a couple of 100 meters away from the homes of these families, we could see Israeli settlers freely moving around. Now, this time we were allowed in, but we had to coordinate with the Israeli military to reach the home of this particular family. But that also shows you, that they are not really free. They also need to coordinate. I mean, they could not even receive visitors or anything in their own homes. Now, the army is deployed there, but again, the settlers are still in the area.
How are Israeli security forces responding to the presence of settlers around these homes? Tell us what has been done, what is being done.
Well, I mean, what we could see again, and what they have said, is that they're deploying in the area, but they already tried last week unsuccessfully to remove those settlers. So some tents, they had erected some of these smaller outposts. They're established in front of the homes of Palestinian families there. Some of them were torn down, but the settlers themselves, they were not removed from the area. The Israeli military also took some of the houses as military posts, to fly drones from there. They say it's for the safety of the Palestinian people there, but of course Palestinians see that quite differently, and they're asking the questions, why is all this necessary? Why don't you remove Israeli settlers that should not be in there? Especially that this closed military zone also, is clearly saying this is for the residents only. So Israeli settlers are not residents of this area. So the question is why they're still there. And of course, families there have said they do not want to leave their homes there either, because they're afraid that once they leave, they will not be able to return back. And this has happened in a neighboring village, the village of Jalud, where another family experienced almost the same or a similar situation, where settlers were besieging this family for days, and eventually the family had to leave and they were not able to go back to their home.
And we saw Louis Reedy there raising a large American flag over his property. What message is he trying to send, do you think? And do residents believe that his U.S. citizenship offers any real protection?
Well, I think it's something. I think he rather would answer himself on this. But I mean, certainly, what I understood from him is that he wants to send a message also to the U.S. administration that Palestinians need protection. And especially there are also many dual citizens, many U.S. Palestinian residents in the area, but obviously he also speaks for the other families there. And we heard in this particular incident a very rare remark by the US ambassador here in Israel. He called the settlers, Israeli settlers, terrorists and their actions an horrific, quote, horrific act of terror. Now, the question, of course, is whether this will translate into any pressure to change the situation.
And Tanya, on a separate note, the Israeli military has now ordered criminal investigations into the killing of a 5-year-old. That's Hind Rajab. She was killed in northern Gaza. Given the time that has passed and the international attention that this case received, why has this step been taken now? And is it likely to satisfy critics who have long questioned whether the Israeli military can effectively investigate it itself?
Well, I think the killing of Hind Rajab and her family and that of the ambulance drivers trying to rescue her, had first of all become a symbol, a very sad symbol, for many of the thousands of children that were killed during this war. Now, it was particularly difficult because Hind Rajab was in this car, and she was, the messages to the paramedics, she was calling for help, were recorded, pleading for help basically, and the help couldn't come. And when they came, also 2 of the ambulance drivers were shot and killed. They came under fire, and it took over 10 days for other paramedics then to come retrieve the bodies from the area. So this is only 2 of the 5 cases that were examined by this military body. They said these were high-profile cases of public interest. They're considering at the moment about 150 cases from this war. And that comes, of course, as Israel faces broader accusations of war crimes and genocide. These are accusations that Israel, of course, denies. But I don't think it will, in fact, satisfy human rights organizations. They have always said that the army or the military is not, independent to investigate itself. And I think now these cases, these 2 cases out of the 5, the other 3 cases were basically dismissed. They will now be handed over to the military police, and they will conduct these criminal investigations. But it is still to see at the end whether, soldiers will actually be charged with any crimes.
Tanya Kramer in Jerusalem. Thank you, Tanya.